What's going on, guys? My name is Mike and welcome back to AHC Garage, a channel that's built for today's Acuras, Hondas, and all the classics. And today we are back on our EK9 Civic Type R Refresh project. On the last episode you saw us work on the interior. We got all the worn pieces, the missing pieces, and all the broken pieces replaced and looking really fresh. And today we're going back to where we started, getting the suspension redone. Let's go into the bench and see what we got. So what we have here, we have a set of Street Advanced Z Tein Coilovers. They are brand new in the box. Let's go ahead and open the box and see what they look like. Well, there you have it, guys. What in front of you is a set of Street Advanced Z coilovers. I think these coilovers sit between the bases and the flex, if I'm not mistaken. So on the very top here, we do see it comes with dampening adjustment on the very top, springs over here, adjustable sleeves on the bottom. We also come with a couple of rubber dust boot right over here, adjustment tool. Last but not least, the literature tool for the valve adjustment up on the very top, an emblem, and some good old stickers. Now let's go ahead and get the wheels off and get this started. So we got the wheels off. Let's take a closer look at something that's been bothering me for quite a while. Take a look at these calipers and rotors. They're super beat up looking. Now these calipers from factory, they do come in this gold zinc type of finish. However, we were going to go ahead and remove them and get them replated. But when we take a closer look at these Mugen MF10, they are in bronze. So I don't think they are actually going to contrast well with the wheels. So I have a conversation with the owner. We have a solution. We have the spray paint right over here. We have done it on Integra and TL. It is the closest to the OEM silver finish, and I think that we're going to contrast well with the MF10. So let's go ahead and get started removing the coilovers, the brake caliper, and the rotors. So we got the old coilovers out with no problem, and we got a new coilovers right over here. All we have to do now is to swap over the top heads. So that all ready to go. Next thing is, let's go ahead and get the brake caliper and the brake rotors off so we get them refinished. Alright, so we got the front brakes right over here, the rear brakes right over here. Let's take a look at the rear brake pads. Man, it's almost worn down to this limit. You see the metal and the brake pads almost hitting the brake indicator. So this is the perfect time for us to go ahead and put a set of new brake pads back in the car. While we're doing the back, might as well just get a new set of brake pads in the front too as well. So next thing is, let's go ahead and get the rotors and the caliper prep so we can get some paint on it. So the first thing we're gonna work on are these brake rotors. On top of here, got a bunch of rust spot on it. So we got a wire wheels, we go ahead and get it cleaned up so the paint can have a good adhesion. So we got most of the surface rust out of the rotors. All we have to do now, get some brake cleaner, spray it down, and we're ready for paint. The brake rotors are all cleaned up. We did the same exact thing with the brake caliper brackets. The only thing that we did here, we went ahead and taped off some of this opening here so the paint wouldn't go through. So now let's go ahead and get our first coat on it. Alright, we're getting ready to do the caliper. First thing, let's go ahead and compress the piston. Then we go ahead and get it cleaned up and prepped just like the rotors and the caliper bracket. So here's the final product of the brake caliper brackets. They all came out really good. I already started to assemble the bracket by installing some of these dust boots. All I have left is some of these clips and the side pins. The last thing we're going to do is go ahead to resurface the brake rotors. Now we already got everything set up. Now let's go ahead and do our first cut. So the second cut came out really good. What we're going to do now, we just go to the final slow cut. There you have it, guys. It is perfect. So now all we have is 3 more rotors to go. So all 4 brake rotors are completely done, front rotors and the rear rotors. Now let's take a look at the calipers. We got the caliper done off camera as well. Come out really good. So I think it's time to put everything back together. the rotors and the caliper brackets went in perfectly, so it's time for some new brake pads. We got a set of OEM front and rear brake pads. Inside the box comes with 2 of these Malico. We have them over here, just makes life a lot easier when applying and less messy. So a lot of the brake pads do come with the factory shims, so you don't have to buy them separately for the front and for the back. So let's go ahead and apply some of these Malico on the contact points and also the slide pins, and then go ahead and put the caliper back together. So all we have to do, slide in those new brake pads and put on the calipers. We are all done with the brake caliper and rotors. Let's go ahead and get the coilover installed. We got something to show you guys. We run into a little bit of an obstacle, so let's take a look at the original coilovers and the fork and versus the new one that we got. These are the correct one for the EK9, and this is the DA Integra, so US model 90 to 93. As you can see, the bottom of the coilovers is much skinnier than the correct one, and the fork that they use were for the DA Integra. But the issue that we have is that the lower control arm bushing is way bigger. As you can see, the previous owner, they went ahead and spread out the control arm. You can just see it's way wider. So the issues that you have is when you spread that out, it changed the pitch on the very top. So what they did was they went ahead and put on a longer bolt to compensate for the pitch. As you can see, all the threads pretty much stripped out. So the solution that we have is we actually have a spare set in our warehouse, so we send someone to pick that up. In the meantime, let's go ahead and finish up the back. Alright, so we are in the back of the rear suspension. All we have is to line up the long control arm to the hub and also to the struts over here. Got a sway bar link, and then go ahead and tighten everything up, and we should be good to go. So the rear suspension all good to go. We put the wheels on with 2 lug nuts, so that when we bring the car down, we can kind of see where the car is sitting. It's perfect timing because our guys have brought us the correct suspension fork for the front, and now we can go ahead and get everything done at the same time. And we got new bolts for it too. It'll be perfect. So all we have left over is to preload the suspension and tighten everything up. So we got the car down for the first time without any adjustment. I really like the back. That's a perfect setup right there. Now the front is a tad bit lower than I wanted to. I think we're probably gonna go up about half an inch. Let's go ahead and get the car back up, get the wheels off, and get some adjustment. Alright, did some adjustment up in the front. I really like the height now, but the back, I think we gotta bring that down a tad bit just to match the front. Let's go ahead and get that done. So in the back here, I don't even have to take off the wheel. A couple of turns here. That should do the work. Alright, up a couple of adjustments. I think we got the height to exactly what we wanted. So let's go ahead and get the car up in the air and lock those sleeves up. So we got a car on the lift now. The height is perfect. Let's go ahead and get alignment done. So we got a target on the wheels already, but what we did was we put some masking tape or painter tape on here so it doesn't scratch the wheels. Little things like that's gonna make a huge difference. So what do you guys think? We refreshed all 4 brake rotors and calipers, installed a set of brand new Tein Coilovers, and also performed a much needed 4 realignments. And this wrapped up episode number 6 on our Civic Type R Refresh Build series. If you like what you see, you make sure you want to support us by hitting that like button. If you're new to the channel, you want to make sure to hit that subscribe button. As always, thank you so much for watching our channel. We hope to see you guys on the next one.